One thing that God really, really wants is for healing in your heart to take place. He wants this thing to be made new with Him, and you've got to learn to trust what's going on in here. Because when we're talking about our needs, or the four core needs of uncertainty, certainty, connection, love, and significance, those are really beautiful needs that God gave us that we need to learn how to meet. And so when we say urge, it becomes something that we actually can partner with God to control. If I say, hey dude, I'm being tempted right now, help, it's like you want to go shakara baba and start praying in tongues. You want to start declaring war, breaking off generational curses. You're calling your whole prayer chain of list of buddies and Tommy and Timmy and everyone, and you're like, pray for me. Your boy's being tempted, like he's being taken down. It's like Jack and the Titanic. It's like we're sinking. That's the idea of when you say to someone, I'm being so tempted right now. You feel powerless. You feel victim, and like there's nothing that you can do. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm not right by this. It's so true. We all feel that way.
You like this, right? You like being daddy burns with microphones. You like being a worker. You're made for the camera. Both my boys are.
Hey, this video you are about to watch is a part of a series where I show you how to quit porn the right way. So do yourself a favor, binge on all of this content, all the videos that you possibly can, because who knows, maybe if the value and the trust is built together over this journey, you'll want to jump into a community that I call Fit for Family. Or maybe you think these videos suck, and that's also fair too. But nonetheless, there's only one way for us to find out. So enough of me, let's get back to serving you, and let's get back to the video. Okay, I'm going to help you overcome temptation right now, and this is a very interesting and different take on temptation and how to start overcoming it in your life. But for Christians, honestly, this has been so massively helpful. It's worth me making a whole episode on and video, and I'd absolutely love to know like what you think and what this does for you and how you resonate with this, because our words create worlds. Write that down. Our words create worlds, and with the words that we speak, we get a meaning for it. It gives us a whole worldview because of the definition that we think it has. That's why when someone, cussing at me when I was younger, I was so used to it constantly, I don't hear anything of it now. So if someone were to cuss at me or just in general around me, honestly, it's like water down a duck's back, because I was so familiar with it in my formative years, in my childhood. My dad did it, my mom, everyone I knew just swore up a storm. And so for me, I'm like, oh, it's no big deal. Or if someone said, hey, you're an effing idiot, I really wouldn't think twice. I'm like, yeah, I was dumb there in that moment, but I wouldn't take it personal. Other people, though, if they were to hear that, they would start getting really internal. They'd feel shame. They'd get angered. They'd get frustrated if someone hears a cuss word. It could be like, because in their world, maybe there was none of that spoken. So my point is that when we say words, we don't all hear it the same, right? And the reason why I use cuss as a reference is because it elicits a stronger reaction out of most people. And you can think of what you want with that as just a bit of a springboard into this idea, is that every single one of us, when we say certain words, it elicits a different type of reaction out of people because of the definition. It's the same way, if you grew up in an atheist home, talking about God, it could be taboo. There could be anger. There could be resentment. There could be frustration. You could think people who believe in God are idiots just by saying God or I have a faith. But for those of us in a Christian upbringing, we say God and faith, and it's like love, connection, belonging, just unconditional love. We think of Jesus on the cross. Again, same word, very different definitions and experiences of it. And so there's one word, temptation, that I feel like is the exact same thing, where maybe 2,000 years ago, or as Paul was writing the Bible, or as James was writing in the epistles, or different writers and scholars were breaking things apart, temptation had a very, very different meaning for people back then than it does now. Again, I remember as a kid, one of my friend's moms, her name was Gay, G-A-Y. And we always just knew, yep, that's Gay. And that was her name. Because in the 50s, when she grew up, or 60s, to be gay meant to be happy. Now, obviously, you can tell, in this day and age, being gay does not mean being happy. It means something completely other than that. And so the idea is that definitions change over time. And when we look at temptation, here's my issue with it. Although theologically, scripturally, it's in the Bible, I have no problem with the word at surface value. I take issue when people are talking about being tempted. There's temptation. And here's why. Because the definition I give it, and most people for this matter, again, especially as definitions change over time, I think that we have a very different idea of what temptation means now than what it meant back then. Here's what I mean by that. Is temptation, when the way you think of it, and I'd love for you to do this, I'd actually love for you to write the word temptation out, and I'd love for you to write down what you think about when you think of temptation. Okay, write it out, think about it. What does temptation mean to you? What's the imagery that you sense and feel? To me, and a lot of guys that I've had this dialogue with, is to me, temptation is a very powerless thing. It's something that's happening to me. It's something outside of me that's going on. I'm being tempted, right, by the devil, by a demon, by an external force, by something else. I'm being tempted by my body. I'm being tempted by my evil desires. And so there's a huge lack of trust and a huge disassociation, and like, I don't like that. I don't want that. We want to run away, right? So when I hear temptation, I almost think of like the tempter or the temptress, the Jezebel spirit, people say, and it's just like, ooh, temptation. And it becomes this evil, almost like Gollum, like Smeagol and Gollum from Lord of the Rings, like the My Precious, and just like this weird, distorted, ugly, creepy thing that's coming to me, temptation, and I can't help but have a gravitational pull towards it, and I'm falling prey to it. It's the predator, that's temptation, and I'm the prey. I'm the victim. And so many Christians operate that way. And so one of the biggest reframes that I want to give to help you start overcoming temptation is I actually don't call it a temptation ever. And I won't allow any of the guys that I work with or that we help quit porn to view it as temptation either. Again, the reason is because it's a very disconnected verbiage and definition. Although it's right in the Bible and you can read it there, we mean different by it. So the word that I want you to utilize, and this is going to change everything for you, is use the word urge. U-R-G-E, an urge. Because when you have an urge for something, I had an urge to go to the bathroom. I had an urge to grab my phone when I saw it buzz next to me. I had an urge to stick my arm out and help that kid not get ran over or hit by that car. It's almost like a knee-jerk reaction. It's internal. What that does is it helps bridge a different definition for literally the exact same thing. Because scripturally speaking, that's what it talks about in James 1:13 when it's talking about temptation. Hey, no one should ever say that they're being tempted by God. God can't tempt anybody. Instead, they are being tempted by their own desires. They are being enticed by their own desires. And the one thing that God really, really wants is for healing in your heart to take place. He wants this thing to be made new with him, and you've got to learn to trust what's going on in here. Because when we're talking about our needs, or the 4 core needs of uncertainty, certainty, connection, love, and significance, those are really beautiful needs that God gave us that we need to learn how to meet. And so when we say urge, it becomes something that we actually can partner with God to control. If I say, hey, dude, I'm being tempted right now, help, it's like you want to go shakara baba and start praying in tongues. You want to start declaring war, breaking off generational curses. You're calling your whole prayer chain of list of buddies and Tommy and Timmy and everyone, and you're like, pray for me. Your boy's being tempted, like he's being taken down. It's like Jack and the Titanic. It's like we're sinking. That's the idea of when you say to someone, I'm being so tempted right now. You feel powerless. You feel victim, and like there's nothing that you can do. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm not right by this. It's so true. We all feel that way. But if I were to say, and you were to get a text from a friend, instead of him saying, I'm being so tempted right now, here to say, hey, dude, I'm experiencing an urge. Help me out here. You know what you would start to do? You'd probably want to counsel him. You're like, all right, bro, I'll pray that you meet that need in a healthy way, if you were to pray. But other than that, a good friend, again, who's then educated and has the skill set and knowing how to help someone overcome these urges, then you'd be like, there's something that I can actually do practically to help you. But when you say it's temptation, you make it such a spiritual matter that you negate to understand that there's aspects of the body and our emotion and our mind that are at play for these temptations to arise, these urges to arise. So I actually tell people, and I say they're urges. It despiritualizes it. It de-escalates it. You don't have to blame the devil, and you can make it something that's bodily. I'm having an urge right now. And this is honestly probably, if this is challenging for you, this is why I've actually told people it's much easier to teach a non-believer, a non-Christian how to quit porn than teaching a Christian. Because Christians, we tend to spiritualize everything. We over-spiritualize. And it's not a bad thing. We're spiritual beings. We're made in the image and likeness of God. God is spirit. I have no problem with that. But we also got to remember, that God put flesh on us. He put skin on us. He gave us like a skin suit, a meat suit, whatever you want to call it. We're fashioned in it. And this thing has real bodily needs. And so when we have an urge and we say it's an urge, then we can start to actually reflect and think about, take inventory. Okay, what's going on? I'm having an urge right now. Why is that the case? What am I doing? And then you start to actually have a place of empowerment. You start to feel more confident. You start to know there's things that I can do to overcome it. Because if a friend were to say to me, hey, dude, I'm being so tempted right now, I really need help, he's gearing that in a spiritual framework, which isn't going to work to overcome this. Because he's likely feeling triggered, feeling misunderstood. There's other reasons why. Because if I start talking about I'm so tempted right now, I feel like I just have to go to porn, he's like, just pray for me. And I've done this so many times with people. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, walk me through your day quickly. Just what happened? And he's like, well, everything was fine. And then, I was at my parents and they got into an argument and things got brought up. My mom left the house, dad left the table, and then da-da-da-da-da. Or like my boss got mad at me. I just felt so bad. I felt so much shame. And I'm like, oh, buddy, you're not feeling temptation. You're feeling pain. And because you're feeling pain, you're wanting to run away. So you are having an urge internal as a protector so that you don't have to face the uncomfortable, icky feelings that are going on in front of you. And when you say temptation, it actually strips you of your ability to have compassion, right? Because why would we want to have compassion on the big bad devil who tempted us? But James is clear. It's not God who's tempting you, and it's not the devil who's tempting you. Temptation is from our own desires. Now, again, you might be like, see, I'm bad. I suck. No. There's a reason why the little Timmy, when his parents got into a fight or his boss got mad at him, felt like he couldn't meet his needs in a healthier way. So he probably wants to be comforted. He probably wants connection, right? He probably wants to be seen. And the only way he thinks that he can do that is through porn. But if I say, oh, buddy, you're having an urge to escape. You're having an urge to run away. I totally understand. Let me walk you through that. Let's talk about that. And we start to go that direction. And I do this with all my clients. They start to feel seen, loved, hopeful, even closer to God. Mind you that. If I start saying temptation, which I did for years, I feel far from God. I feel like I'm just, having the devil take cheap shots on me in life. But if I start saying urge, I can actually bring my Heavenly Father in, bring other people in, have someone help me get mentorship and be like, hey, what's really going on here? What's my body communicating to me about my current situation? It's Friday night. I'm experiencing an urge to go to porn. Why is that? Oh, I'm feeling very lonely. I'm feeling very by myself. I'm feeling like I'm lacking connection. And I want to go to porn because it's Friday. I was on social media. I saw other people live a life and have friends and hang out, and I didn't get invited. So I'm feeling like all this sort of rejection. And because I don't know how to name it, though, again, this isn't conscious. This is in the background of our mind. But because it's not conscious, then we don't actually investigate. And when we say temptation, we don't get in an investigative state or get curious to know what's going on. We just want to be rid of it. We just run away, stop, get rid of the temptation, be far from it. Because the whole Bible's filled with the idea of when it comes to sexual immorality, flee, run. So when we have that type of temptation, we're in a running, anxious, avoidant state, which isn't helpful. What we really want to do is go low, go slow, get curious, and figure out, okay, what the heck is going on? And that's much more possible when you say it's an urge, because it actually allows you to take ownership over the experience. You got to take responsibility over the experience in a way that you just can't when it comes to saying the word temptation. So I have so much more I want to say about this to you. But again, a bit of a hot take, really, really different, super helpful for so many guys. I'd love for you to dialogue about that and see what your definition of temptation was and what your definition of what urge is. Because for me and so many other guys, it's got more of a positive connotation and ending to the story that it's like, okay, porn doesn't mean having the urge or temptation to go to porn doesn't mean I'm bad. It just means that I have to get curious about what's going on inside me, ask myself those questions, do the deeper work so that I don't feel like a slave to it. Talk in your group about it, share with the people around you, have that discussion, see what's coming up for you, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hey, real quick, if you like that video that you just saw, or if you want to see even better videos than this in a series that I made called Annihilate Porn to help guys or girls like you quit porn, you can subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't forget any alerts, comment, like, all that jazz, and more importantly, check out the next video that's going to take you even further on the journey from where you are to where you want to be. I love you tons. I'll catch you in the next one.